Don't cry out loud, keep it inside. Learn how to hide your feelings, except for now because Mars is stationed direct, so get it out. Hello Libra, welcome back. It's lovely to have you here after this last bit of time. Thank you for allowing me a bit of rest and restoration. I was a little bit sick over the New Year period. I caught myself a little sniffle. And so I took to bed and I took to my books and I read a lot and I was overexertive with my study. And I pre-planned the entire year and then some of 2024, 25 and 26. So I've got a lot of information to share with you, but I don't wish to confuse anything. So let's bring it back down. Let's recognize that New Year's resolutions be damned. You know, it doesn't pay to hold yourself to any kind of contract so early on in the year, particularly with the energy of Mars and Mercury in their retrograde motion at that time. There was a lot of restriction that maybe you were feeling. There could have been a kind of feeling of being held back or held in place or wanting to start, oh God, I can't quite, I've got the fire in me, I've got the passion in me, but I don't have the avenue for it. That could have been a feeling that you were having. The good news is that as we sit here in celebration of the new moon in Aquarius happening on the 22nd of January, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me, Mars has stationed direct on the 13th of January and Mercury on the 19th. So that forward activation can start now. We can start to surmise and plan and activate different parts of our chart, our lives, points of focus, points of interest. Let's study the moon first and then I can get to the significations of the other planets. But the new moon is occurring in your 5th house, Libra. This is where you express yourself. This is the house that has you come into romantic misunderstandings, and it comes to the relationship with your inner child. Is a lovely way to a lovely signification of the 5th house, is how we relate to ourselves when we were a little person and what we can bring into our adult lives from that energy, that philosophy of the young one. And so a new moon here is great. A new moon is a great evening of healing, a great evening of recollection and of building some peaceful bridges with yourself. Interesting that it's Aquarius that rules this house for you, because your mind is still on the other, as you always tend to be, Aquarius. In the difference between a Libran sensibility, perhaps, and an Aquarian one is the modality might be something to mention. Libra is cardinal air, the initiation, the instigator of thought. Aquarius is fixed air, fixed intellect. There's something, the analogy that I've used for these readings is a pressurized air canister and the precision that you can achieve in the industry of containing air. Aquarian energy is really inventive and esoteric in some way, but with a calculation that brings about new ideas, new change that benefits the human condition. So that's nice symbology to tie into your 5th house, where you express yourself, potentially even to the little one that you were. I wonder if you were an inventor of sorts when you were young, Libra. I wonder if there was different different projects that you're involved in, different scientific experiments, things like that. When we think of the tarot, a great card to meditate on during Aquarius times, Aquarius season, as this will be the instigator of, is the star. The star is an extraterrestrial sent to planet Earth to move the water of love and life for thirsty humanity. So that's a great vantage point to consider your self-expression, Libra. That includes everybody else, as you do. That's what you think about all the time. Can't help it. That's fine. That's in you. This has almost like a greater scope. So it's sort of Libra's eye in the other. I choose the way that leads between the great two lines of force. And Aquarius moves the water for thirsty humanity. That's expansion. So, how are you intending to express yourself this year, Libra? What do you intend to learn and share with others? What's your concept of a well-oiled working communal machine? How does that operate for you? I think we can look to Mars and we can look to this frustration perhaps that you've had in relationship to your spirituality. I can see here that there's been things that you really want to learn. There's things that you need to get off your chest, out of your body, into your body, that maybe you're kind of missing them, or not missing the mark, but there's definitely you want to propel, you want to dive off that platform into a greater philosophical knowledge. It hasn't quite happened yet. We can think that from the 13th of January of this year, that station direct movement, and then Mars will continue its way through your 9th house and exit into your 10th in March of this year. I think March 25th is the date. And so that's a nice further extension, isn't it? Perhaps you can use the rest of January and February and most of March in a reinvigoration with your study, your philosophical practice. And then you can take that, what you know, you can take that energy into your 10th house, into your most public self, your career and vocation, your Cancerian legacy. Now, that's all lovely. And of course, Capricorn in your 4th house, your root system, the information that's coming to you as far as that space is concerned. Think back to the new moon manifestation of a month ago in Capricorn. Think about what you set out into the world and think about the practicalities of that now coming to you. Now that Mercury is stationed direct, the information can be more free-flowing and you can incorporate that as well. There's a freshness here to this moon, Libra, and it's really nice to see. I do want to take your eye over to your 7th house, if I may, though. This is where we relate to other people, where we find relationship, where we collaborate and assign our hearts to others. This is Aries for you. This is confidence and passion. It's a passionate space for a Libra rising. Right now, Jupiter, the planet of expansion and optimism, has entered Aries, and they've been met by another asteroid that I want to tell you a little bit about. This is what I spent a lot of my last months sort of ingesting and steeping myself in, as a lovely astrologer said to me. I feel like a teabag, steeping myself in astrology. But I've opened up a new portal, a line of thinking that I can't stop learning about. And it's the asteroids that were discovered before Neptune and before Pluto in the early 1800s. After the discovery of Uranus with the telescope in 1783, I think, there was a gap of astrological discovery. And the next group of cosmic bodies to be discovered happened in pretty quick succession. It was Ceres, Juno, Vesta, and Pallas Athena. Not in that order. I wish I had my whiteboard here, but I'm filming these inside. You understand what I mean. These significations, these planetary bodies were named by astronomers, and after the feminine principle, after the archetypes to round out the pantheon that is above our heads. And by this time, the scientific principle had taken over. So astrology was less in vogue. Astrology was less used by the broader society, you might say. But the signification of them being assigned the feminine principle is very interesting, particularly around that time. If we look back to that period of time and the progress in terms of the progress in being regarded as a human being of equal-ish value to the masculine principle, the idea of women being getting the vote, to being able to vote in society. The women's suffrage movement is probably a really great sort of pinpoint of time to correlate with this emerging feminine principle. And so these asteroids aren't used by every astrologer, although as we move forward and as we expand our concept of gender and our concept of feminism, these asteroids pack a punch and they hold with them great signification. And I'm getting my head around when to use them and when not to, and what they signify on the individual's chart, as well as a broader concept. So all of this is to say that right now, in an exact conjunction with Jupiter, another word for Jupiter is Zeus, is Juno, the asteroid Juno. Another word for Juno is Hera. They're both at 4 degrees in Aries in your 7th house of relationship. And so what this says to me is that there is a great collaborative force that exists in your most intimate relationships. And I feel that there's an emphasis on this part of your life. And this doesn't have to be as traditional as some sort of hetero marriage at all, but there's a balance here of collaborators. If we consider Hera, the queen of the gods, to be just as important as Zeus, the king of the gods, that was their contract. They were bound to one another. They made a commitment. We know that that commitment was broken time and time and time again, and they're pretty hectic, and I probably wouldn't want to be friends or intimate friends with them if they existed on the physical realm, because their relationship is just too dramatic. But you can see the signification of them in conjunction at this time in your 7th house. There is a commitment there, and there is an oath there. I'm, in my study, attempting to relate the asteroids to the tarot, and I'm onto something, but I need further study, and I don't want to set it in stone just yet, and I haven't found any other writing on the subject, so I'm looking for it. I would suspect that the principle of Juno can be related to the Queen of Cups in the tarot. And so what we know of the Queen of Cups is this commitment to going the distance in relationship, this commitment to emotional literacy and to the emotional contract with other. The Queen sits on their throne with a cup of such gilded beauty that is ever filling up. You never have to worry about the Queen of Cups lacking in emotional literacy. It's always being topped up by the ocean that they sit at. Now, this Queen doesn't signify the gender. This Queen could be anybody in your periphery that you feel is giving you some support right now. I bring all of this up because I think there's a great element of gratitude that can be found here, Libra. As much as this new moon is definitely about your individual self-expression, I just couldn't help but gently fold in some of this combination in the 7th, because it's quite bright and shiny, and is actually in a sextile, which is a 60-degree supportive aspect with the moon itself at this lunation. So in that way, your individual self-expression, what it is that you wish to put forward into the world, how you, from your perspective, how do you see things? What's your philosophy? Has great relationship and support from your nearest and dearest right now. I imagine there are people that are very proud of you right now, Libra, and that's a lovely sentiment to share with you. I can see that folks around you are incredibly proud of what you've achieved so far. Come hell or high water, you've committed yourself to the act of empathy, and that's remarkable. You should be very proud of that. So there's the asteroids. I hope that that's sort of slotted in a coherent-ish sort of way. I also pulled all of these intuitive tarot cards, and look what I got. The King of Cups. Isn't that's gorgeous? Everything that I just said speaks to this card too. You know, you can swap out the Queen, you can swap out the King. They're interchangeable. If you want to be a king in your life, you're the king. If you want to be the queen in your life, you're the queen. We can all identify with the kingly principle and the queenly principle as long as it's got nothing to do with hierarchy. As long as it's got nothing to do with lording over a kingdom. That's the old way. This is the new way. When it comes to empathy, these folks know what they're doing. They're supportive. There's your 7th house. There's this portal here that's open for you, Libra, as well. 2 of Wands. Wheel of Fortune is, the Wheel of Fortune has shown up in reverse. And so this is that preparation, perhaps, in this transition of Mars from the 9th house of spiritual learning into the 10th house of vocation and legacy. I feel that this is not to say stop, it's to say let's prepare. Let's prepare before we can get that wheel to start turning. And there's the 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 of Wands. 11, you're on the right path. Simple as that. This was a really beautiful, I'm glowing during this reading. I've loved it, Libra. I hope that that's enough for you to experience this moon and to approach it with a sense of hope and a sense of faith. As difficult as it seems right now, as divisive as the world and culture presents itself to us, which must be throwing you through the ringer. You don't want that. You want balance. You want harmony. You want to connect the two polarities and bring them together. And I see that this is happening for you in your spiritual study and in the folks around you that are supporting and collaborating with you. There you go. I'll be back with you in 2 weeks for the full moon in Leo, okay? And I'm going to not announce anything yet. No. Head to umaruby.com and get your birth chart read by me, Libra. Also, if you'd like a snapshot of the year ahead, and I've read for you before, then book yourself a Wheel of the Year or a year ahead reading, I think it's called. We're going to go through all of the transits in advance of 2023 together in relationship specifically with your chart. So there'll be some great clues as dates, as far as activation dates, as far as moments of clarity, all of those sorts of things. Also, yes, I will be furthering my study into the asteroids as well. So if that's something you'd like to learn more about, write me a comment down below and let me register your interest. Much love to you, Libra. I can't wait for this year. It's going to be a good one. Slightly less chaotic, hopefully. Let's not predict anything. Let's roll with the punches. From what I've jotted down, the pros outweigh the cons. And we're doing our best and we're committed to our spiritual healing. I love it. I'll see you soon. Bye.